What's up everyone, welcome back to more Reddit stories about Karens, crazy people, and all that kind of stuff. Hope you're all doing awesome today, and as usual, we'll be checking out some more Reddit posts. So be sure to share your thoughts about today's stories down in the comments, and we're getting right into it. You're just a tenant, I'm the landlord's sister. This happened 2 months ago when I moved into a new apartment. It's a small complex with just 4 units, and I honestly loved how quiet it was until the landlord's sister decided to show up. At first, I didn't know who she was. She just started showing up randomly, watering the plants in the shared courtyard, walking into the laundry room without knocking, and giving unsolicited advice on how I should properly park my car. One day I'm cooking in my kitchen and I hear the screen door open. I come out and find this woman in my backyard, shared space, but still, moving my flower pots around. I politely ask her what she was doing, and she just goes, "Oh, I'm the landlord's sister. I helped them decorate this place. These don't look good here." I told her I rented that unit and I would prefer if she didn't move my stuff without asking. She rolled her eyes and literally said, "Well, you're just a tenant. I'm family." The next week, she knocks on my door and asks if I can move out early because she wants to rent the place for her son, who is starting over after a breakup. Mind you, I had a signed lease and had been there for barely 2 months. I got pissed off immediately and asked her to leave. Then I called the landlord and reported what was happening. He was horrified, apologized profusely, and told me his sister had no authority whatsoever and wasn't even supposed to be on the property without notice. He had to change the lock on the courtyard gate because she kept letting herself in. Some people really think being family gives them a license to act weird. I quote, "stole from a shopping cart." So this happened a few days ago at a grocery store. I was waiting patiently in my lane, and beside me was the priority lane for senior citizens, people with disabilities, etc. There were a couple of elderly people sitting on the chairs provided specifically for them while waiting for their turn. Pretty normal setup. Now some guy casually walks up and cuts right in front of the seated seniors. I speak up and say, "Hey, they're already in line." And this guy, without even looking at me, goes, "I don't see them standing in line though." Real smug, real dismissive. The elderly folks looked uncomfortable but didn't want to cause a scene. So I shut up, and I simmered. A few minutes later, we're still in the lanes and I notice his car is stacked with what looks like camping gear, such as sleeping bags, paper plates, marshmallows, instant noodles, a portable stove, etc. And there it was, a single can of butane gas. And right there I saw an opportunity. This guy's blabbering on the phone, totally distracted. So I casually leaned over, plucked the butane from his cart, and slid it into mine. He didn't notice. He checked out and left. I paid for my stuff, including his butane, and walked away. Somewhere out there, this man arrived at his campsite, probably boasting about how smart and quick he is. And when he tried to fire up that portable stove, no gas, no hot food, no coffee. Just crunchy noodles and the sweet taste of consequences, hopefully. She called the cops on me because she got my mail. We moved into our house a couple years ago and we love our neighborhood. We've made some really good friends here and it's a nice place to live. Our neighbor across the street, Wendy, hates us. I don't know when it started. When we moved in, my husband backed up the moving truck a little too close to her mailbox, I guess. She sent a message to the previous residents that the new guy living across the street is an idiot, which we know because the previous resident sent that to a different neighbor, whom we befriended. She made a post on our HOA app with tons of screenshots from her door cam of people walking their dogs, saying it's illegal for dogs to walk on her lawn. The HOA president commented for her to knock it off. About a year or two ago, my credit card expired and they sent me a new one. Apparently, I put her address instead of mine. There's one number different, 1213 instead of 1212. Edit for clarity, I updated my address on my credit card when we moved here about 2.5 years ago. When the card expired, they sent me a new one to her address, because that's what they had on file. Instead of seeing my name on the card and bringing it to me, she called 911 and told them I was trying to steal her identity. The cop knocks on my door and explains, says he told her that's not how it works, but she's a quote, bored old woman with nothing better to do, and she won't give my card back. I sent him back over there to get it, and instead, she shreds it in front of him. There are a lot more stories about her. She's delusional and paranoid and has made problems for everyone on our street, but we mostly all ignore her. Edit to add, yes, messing with my mail was illegal. No, I'm not going to report this crazy old lady. She's miserable enough, and I am not out for revenge. Neighbor refuses to move their little farm stand that's causing people to steal from my garden. Before anyone says just build a fence, we can't afford it right now. And no HOA. My neighbor set up one of those pantries/farm stands where people can take items that they grew in their garden, pantry stuff, donated stuff, etc. In theory, it's a great idea, and especially in a time when life in America sucks ass and people are struggling to make ends meet, my family included. The problem: people started coming into my yard to pick things in my garden. I've put up signs saying not to do it. I installed rabbit fence around the garden. I've angled a tarp so you can't see what's there from the road. People just hold their kids over the fence to pick tomatoes and beans or jump it. I ended up getting into an argument with a lady over it. I yelled, "Hey, stop, those are not for you to take." She told her kid to move faster and then tried to run away. I caught up to her and asked her what the F her problem was, and she turned it into how dare I swear in front of her child. Why am I so angry? Am I really that upset about a couple tomatoes? I said I am upset that you are stealing from me. The next day I approached my neighbor. I asked if I could maybe help move it to the other side of their driveway so it's next to the other neighbor's house. They don't have a garden out front. They said at least not until the end of the season. I asked if they could make larger signs, talk to people, just do something. They were like, "Can you really not afford to share?" I said that they aren't taking my zucchini because they're starving. They're taking my tomatoes because they want them. They said that I'm going to have to learn to live with it for now, and we can talk about a solution together that will benefit the whole community after. I said I do not care about a solution that benefits the whole community. I care about a solution that stops people from stealing from me. So last night it happened again. Man in his 50s. I sprayed his ass with the hose. He started yelling at me, and after a minute or so, the neighbor came out yelling at me too. People have posted on the neighborhood board to be careful if they come by because I'm an asshole. The neighbor says I'm scaring people away from a community resource. I told him that I'm going to continue until he does something about the effing thieves who feel entitled to my garden. I feel like I'm losing my effing mind here. Am I the asshole for asking them to move it? Am I the asshole for being pissed off that people are stealing from me? This is food for my family. First off, thank you for the responses. I got some good ones. I'm happy that so many of you live in places where the cops would do anything about this, but that isn't the reality where I'm living. Cops here would not give a crap if I sent them a video of someone picking from my garden. They would laugh in my face. Be thankful if you live in a place where the police are useful. It looks like signs are the best option for now. Going to make signs indicating heavy use of pesticides, and repeating that they are stealing food from the mouths of hungry children. I don't know why the signs we already have up aren't enough. Maybe more will help. I'm sure they won't. We'll also scour Craigslist for free fencing or similar items. Hopefully that pans out. So yeah, I was almost going to say that it might be a bit of a misunderstanding because it sounds like the pantry is right next to OP's garden, but then I remembered that OP has signs up. So it probably starts out as a misunderstanding when people see the pantry and then see the garden right next to it, just over the fence. But then they see the signs saying "Do not steal, not part of the pantry," or whatever it says. And apparently people just think, "Nah, I'm still taking them." I mean, that's pretty apparent with the mom and the kids straight up trying to run off. They knew they were doing something wrong. So it does sound like OP's best bet is to put some kind of barrier up. Anything, it doesn't have to be fancy. Just enough that people can't reach over it or hop over it. You gotta love how this neighbor is essentially volunteering OP's garden as like a community resource. And when OP mentions having a problem with it, they're just shamed for it. Essentially just being told, well, too bad, you're going to share whether you like it or not. I quote, "stole a car from a car thief." I woke up one night to the sound of my '95 Honda Civic trying to start. It wouldn't start because the thief hadn't found the kill switch. There's a lot of car theft in my city and those old Hondas are easy targets, so I'm glad I had that installed. I ran outside in my underwear and just shouted at them from the porch as deep and loud as I could, "Hey, what the f*** are you doing?" And then two people ran out of the car and down the street. The shouting woke up my roommates and they came downstairs to see what was up. We peeked around but the thieves had run off. Then a few minutes later I hear the engine trying to start again. So I shout for my roommates to come back and we all ran outside in our underwear and pajamas. One guy had a skateboard, one guy grabbed a bat. So we're all just standing on the porch, not trying to get physical, just shouting at them. The one thief yells back from another Honda parked just a few feet away from mine. "No, this is my car. We're just trying to get away, it's my car." I don't know what came over me, but I shouted back, "No, that's my car now. That's mine." And they were just like, okay man, and ran off. I couldn't believe that worked, but I think it only worked because of my 3 other roommates with the underwear and skateboard and bat. I called the police right away and stayed outside watching for them, but they didn't come back. The police checked, quote, their car, and found that it was stolen, of course. So the owner got his car back, I guess. And I'm so glad I had that kill switch. She wanted credit for my work, so I gave it to her. There's this coworker in my department who's notorious for swooping in last minute and polishing up projects just before the deadlines, and then taking all the credit when presenting them to leadership. It happened to me one too many times. I did the bulk of a project, research, design, data analysis, the works. She added a few bullet points to the summary and had slapped her name on the email to the execs. So for the next big assignment, I let her do it again. I sent her my unfinished draft saying I was running behind and needed help. She jumped at the chance. I completely stepped back and gave her all the credit, even encouraged it. Except I knew the data was flawed. On purpose. Nothing crazy, just off enough to collapse under real scrutiny. She presented it with pride at the all-hands. The department head asked one question she couldn't answer, then pulled up the source data and the loopholes became obvious. She stumbled, flustered, and ended the meeting early, saying she'd circle back later that week. I was asked to quietly step in and fix the report. No more stolen credit since then. She still avoids eye contact. Alright guys, that's going to be all for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. Be sure to drop a like on the video, it really helps me out, and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. So take care and I'll see you next time.